Hey, it's Mark coming to you from Baker's Green Acres. Today's the 11th of May, and it's about 9 o'clock at night, but you can see we've got plenty of light still to get ourselves in trouble. I wanted to come back to you and show you the produce field after I was done grooming it. I'm not sure how it will turn out in this low light, but I'm really pleased with it. I spent a lot more time on it than I probably thought I was going to, just because once I got started I realized the potential of this. Now, the reason that I want to share this and the reason I'm getting kind of excited about it is because here we have a field that was a nominal hay field for starters, and we decided that we were going to do produce on it, so we fenced it off temporarily and put pigs on it, and they tore it up. I went through it with a rototiller once. A buddy of mine loaned me one. And then I've gone through it with a cultivator a bunch of times, but it's really hard to stay ahead of vegetation that's in fertile soil. It really is. And then we've farmed it for about 3 years now for vegetables, and a lot of times we don't stay ahead of the weeds. So that's really bad, because when the weeds go to seed, then we've got billions more seeds out here to deal with. Well, what I'm doing this year is a little bit different program. There's a concept known as summer fallowing or summer following. It depends who you talk to. But a friend of mine told me about it, and it makes a lot of sense. But there's a finite number of weed seeds out here in this field. If you were to take a cubic inch and get under a microscope, you'd find there's a finite number of seeds. All right, there's not a limitless number. There's a finite number. So every time that the sun warms this soil up and we have a nice stand of weeds come up, and they're only about an inch tall, and I go through it with a cultivator and turn them all down, that is a whole crop of seeds, and it could be in the millions, that we've just eliminated from this. And then so long as we don't let any of the weeds that do pop up go to seed, we're gaining on the seed bank here in this soil. That's my understanding of it, and it makes sense to me. The whole no-till thing is kind of like the no-spank method, and that doesn't work, I can tell you that. The no-spank method does not work with children. So we're going to utilize tillage on this field as much as we can. I'm going to be planting some sections of this Saturday, or one of our farmer friends is going to be doing it. But then the rest of it, we'll continue to till it until we decide what we're going to plant on it in the end of May. There's no reason northern Michigan like this to plant anything early. It's just to get it in the ground. But it makes a lot of sense for me to go through and summer fallow this right up until planting time. All right, now a little bit more on this field of why I think that this is something that I want to show off. A produce field, for instance, it is good for a produce field. So you get a few months use out of it in the summertime, put a lot of work into it, and you get a few months out of it. And your fertility goes down. Your fertility goes down. Why? Because you're growing produce on here and you're taking the produce off, taking it to market and selling it. There goes your fertility right out the door. So then you need to add fertility back in. So if, let's say you buy compost and you put it on. Or let's say you're a multifaceted farm like we are, and you have cattle and you can scrape up their manure, put it in a pile, compost it, and put it on. Still, you're adding to it. And that's just the way it is. So, you have assets and liabilities. You're making money off of the vegetable that goes off, but then off of your bottom line, you're having to take money to buy compost. So make compost, and add back to the soil so you can do it again. Well, in this case, when we finish up with this field for the year, there is still literally tons of produce out here. Some of it's not fit for human consumption, stalks and things like that, but it sure is fit for pig consumption. So we have this fenced off, and we did the fencing in a way that contains our pigs. By the way, we have a fencing class this coming Saturday, 9 o'clock here at Baker's Green Acres. Just a reminder. When the pigs are put on here, let's say I put on 30, 40 pigs, I'm feeding them out here, so they're manuring the feed that I'm giving them back, and plus they're taking care of all that produce that's still out here. They're eating it, and they're manuring it back to the soil. So, you see, you don't have a perpetual motion machine here or anything like that, or a perpetual production area. We still have to add, when we put pigs out here, we still have to feed them, but their byproduct, manure, helps us in the next season, which would be in the spring, if you follow me. So I'm getting more use out of this field than I would normally if I were just going to use it for a pig field, or if I just were going to use it for a produce field. And then I suppose in the fall we could use it for a football field. And then in the winter we could probably use it for dog sledding. We could go around in circles with dog sleds if we were into dog sleds. We're not. So we could get even more use out of it if we tried. But for now, for our purposes, being a farm, this produce area is going to work for us for raising pigs and raising produce. And I just think it's really neat, and I like to share it. And that's Mark from Baker's Green Acres. Anyone can farm.